Burn, burn, burn. What's going on, guys? Welcome back today for another video. Today's video we are going to be upgrading the steering wheel in the Subaru 08 to 14 Imprezas. This is the best factory wheel Subaru has to offer. So with further ado, here you guys go. Now you might be thinking it's just a leather wheel, but it actually has red stitching. So we're going to be tossing this in the Impreza. I do have a leather one in there that I grabbed from the junkyard, but it's not red stitched. And the only thing I'm missing for the interior now that's not red stitched are my seats. So maybe one day we'll get some WRX seats or STI seats or something, but this is the last piece of the puzzle. So I'm going to toss this in really quick. Shouldn't take no more than 10-15 minutes. But we do have to disconnect the battery, which means that we do have to do an idle relearn on the Subaru because it has electronic throttle. So I'll walk you guys through everything and let you know what tools you need and everything, and we'll go from there. First things first, guys, we're dealing with an airbag. So you're going to want to take off one of your terminals, your positive or negative. Doesn't really make a difference, but you're going to want to take that off. And you're going to want to leave it off for about 5 minutes before you go and mess around with the airbag itself. So just keep that in mind. It's definitely good practice. You don't want an airbag blowing up in your face. I can guarantee you that. First step of removal is grab yourself a Torx bit. This is a T30, and you have two Torx bolts through one hole here and one hole on the other side. You got to take those off. That will release your airbag, and we will get the plugs off the airbag, and then I'll show you guys what you do next. Get your two Torx bits off, you'll be able to just lift your airbag out of the way. These two prongs here, right here and right here, these yellow tabs pop up. You could just use a pick or a knife or a flathead. Be careful with them. This is your airbag. It is expensive, so you don't want to mess this up. These literally just pop up, and then you can unplug these and move your airbag out of the way. Don't go throwing this thing around. Like, be careful with it. Put it somewhere safe. You don't want it going off. I have three plugs, like I said you have two plugs. You actually have three plugs. You have your horn grounding plug, which it has a little tab up top that you just push in, that little silver tab right there. And then, like I said, with these, you just pop these clips up like that, and these will just pull right off the airbag. Now, what you want to do is you want to be extremely careful when you deal with this clock spring. You don't want to go twisted or anything like that. I would start by putting your steering wheel straight so you know where to line the new wheel up, and I would keep the clock spring exactly where it is. Don't go and spin this at all. I believe this nut in the middle is 18 or 19 or maybe even a 17. I'll let you guys know in a minute. But you're going to have to unplug this plug right here because this is actually for the steering wheel itself. So pretty much you just push the tab in and you pull out, and that is all your steering wheel controls right there. So with that unplugged, your steering wheel is loose and you can pull it off once you take the nut off, obviously. Nut is a 17 millimeter. I've had this wheel off before, so don't expect you to be able to do this, but mine, I could literally just pull it right off. You're probably going to have to smack really hard on the side to get yours to unpress. If you get lucky and it comes off, great, but that's usually how I get them off. And if they're real stubborn, you guys can get a tool for it. It's called a steering wheel puller, or just like a three jaw puller maybe. But you thread the bolts in here and right here, and it'll push on the center stud and it'll actually pull your wheel off if it's needed. I don't normally need it. Normally I could just smack it and it shocks it enough to free it up. So I'm gonna get this wheel off and I'm gonna get the new wheel set up here. I'll show you guys what it looks like with no wheel at all, and we'll go in pretty much just the same order. We'll put it back together. Thing to keep in mind, guys, is you probably won't have paddles like me. If you haven't seen that video, definitely check it out. I'll put it in the end screen in the end of this video so you guys can check it out, how I put paddle shifters on an 08 to 14 Impreza with a 4E AT. But yeah, so this is what you're left with when you take your wheel off. Notice how I kept this exactly where it was. I had the wheel straight to begin with, so I know to put the wheel back straight, and it should go straight forward. You shouldn't have to do an alignment or anything like that. But pretty much all we're going to do now is we're going to line our new wheel up, get it over top there, and we should be good to go. There you have it, guys. So now I'm in 09, so I don't believe these phone button options were an option for my Subaru, or I just don't have the thing for it, because it would plug in normally down here, which you probably just need like a separate module or something. So I'm just going to clip that in like it's going to work or something, but I have aftermarket radio, so that does not really matter to me one bit. Now, if you have a factory radio, this is plug and play, guys. So if you don't have the volume buttons or anything on your steering wheel, just plugging this in, it will work to your stock radio. For my radio, it won't work. I need to get the box for it to convert the signal, because I believe it's a digital signal and this only does analog. So yeah, but it will work if you have a stock radio. It's just something to keep in mind, guys. So essentially now all we have is just one plug here, which will plug right in to the existing clock spring, just like that. And then now we have our airbag plugs. Black goes to black, orange goes to orange on the back of the airbag. As you can see there, black and orange. Don't plug those in wrong. I don't think you can, but if you can, don't plug them in wrong. And then this is your horn. Without this ground, your horn won't work. So definitely plug that in. And then right now we're just gonna put our nut back, which I'm going to use my impact gun to tighten it, but you could do it by hand, I guess, but you're probably better off with the impact gun. It's just easier, a lot more simple. So we're going to get our nut bottomed out. I'm going to tighten it up with the gun. I'm going to put the airbag back, put the 2 Torx bits, and I'll see you guys when it's all buttoned back up. Guys, and just like that, we have an STI red stitched wheel. Now I am going to wait 15 more minutes. This literally, this whole install, guys, took me 15 minutes. So there's no excuses. Upgrade your steering wheel. 100% upgrade your steering wheel. Look at how much better this looks with the red stitching. It matches the e-brake boot, the center console, the door panels. Everything has red in here. The gauge cluster's red from the factory. It just goes, man. It looks nice. I would love to get the seats, but they're expensive. If I can find a good deal, maybe I will. But yeah, so essentially I just put the airbag back. I clip my clips in. Make sure you fold down the prongs, the yellow 2 prongs on the airbag. Make sure you connect your horn. 2 T30 Torx bits from the sides. Tighten them up. You don't need to go crazy. It's just an airbag. Don't crank on them. Like, you know, make them tight, but don't go crazy with it. So yeah, I'm going to wait 15 more minutes. I'm going to pick you guys back up, and I'm going to show you how to do an idle relearn on a 08 to 14 Subaru. It doesn't matter if it's a 2.5i, WRX, STI. It's the same process through them all. A lot of people do not do this right. I actually had the dealer do it wrong when I dropped this car off for an airbag recall, which was that side over there. They gave me back my car and it kept stalling out on me. I knew exactly what it was, so I didn't sweat it, but I just figured I'd let you guys know exactly how to do that. So for your idle relearn, you're gonna wait 30 minutes. You're gonna reconnect your battery, tighten it back up. You're done with that step now. For me, I have an aftermarket stereo, so I pulled the fuse for it. You want no loads on the car when you do this. You want nothing on inside the car. So I'm even gonna turn my radio off and everything. So essentially what you're gonna do is you're gonna leave the key forward, but you're not gonna start the car. You're gonna leave it forward for 10 to 15 seconds. I'm just gonna leave it forward till my radio powers up and I can turn it off, which will only take a couple seconds. All right, so I turned my radio off. My car is ice cold right now, so this is gonna be very loud. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna let it idle like this. You're not gonna touch the throttle or anything, no loads at all. I'll give you guys a nice cold start of the unequal. It sounds absolutely awesome. It's slow as shit, but it sounds so good. So you're not gonna touch the throttle or anything. You want no loads on inside the car. As you can see, I have nothing on in here whatsoever. The only thing that I forgot was this, actually. So we'll unplug that also. But yeah, you're gonna let it idle for 10 minutes. So it is 7:34. At 7:45, we'll say, I will shut the car back off and I'll tell you guys what you need to do next. But just let it idle for 10 minutes. It's gonna like adjust the throttle for you and everything. This resets literally everything on your car. I actually just did a mass airflow sensor and a front O2 sensor on this car, so it's actually a good idea that I do this anyways. But I would suggest doing this. Sometimes it's good just to reset your computer, get a fresh start on the car, especially if you just bought it or something. It's definitely cool to reset the fuel trims and everything, and the trans actually learns to your driving habits, so it's just nice to reset it. It'll learn to you specifically and not somebody else. But yeah, so we're gonna let this idle and I'll pick you guys up once it's been 10 minutes. All right guys, so I'm at 10 minutes. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna turn the key off, and we are going to leave the key completely off for 20 seconds. After 20 seconds, or at least 20 seconds, you're gonna turn the key back forward for 10 to 15 seconds, pretty much the same thing that we just did, and I'll pick you guys up when it's been 20 seconds. So it's been 20 seconds. So now I'm going to turn the key forward yet again. 10 to 15 seconds, you're gonna leave the key forward so the throttle can do its swing and everything and adjust. Like I said before, I'm just gonna wait till my radio turns on so I can turn it off, and then we will start the car back up. So I'm gonna start the car back up. Now we're going to let it run an additional 5 minutes with no load, just like we did before. So it is 7:47. We're gonna say 48, 49, 50, 51, 52. We'll say 7:53. We're gonna shut it back off. All right, so it's been 5 minutes. So I'm going to turn the car back off. We're going to leave the key in the off position for another at least 20 seconds. So this is actually the final step, guys. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna put my stereo fuse back in. It's gonna spark, yep. All right, so I'm gonna put this back. I'm gonna put my little cap back on, and you guys can start turning everything you turned off back on in your car. We're completely done under the hood now. I'm gonna plug all my stuff back in. I don't have much in here. My radar is actually in the Jeep because I've been driving the Jeep lately. Might as well take it out for a little while. This is just like a USB little charger that reads out voltage because this car doesn't have a battery gauge. And then I want to monitor my fuel trims to make sure everything adjusted right. So I'm gonna plug my OBD2 little diag thing in. And then we're gonna start the car, and the next step is to take your car for a drive. There's nothing special you gotta do. Just turn your key forward like normal, start the car, and take it for a drive. Make sure everything's good. But that is how you do an idle relearn on a Subaru, and it is a must on a Subaru. Like I'm telling you guys right now, if you do not do this idle relearn, your car is not gonna idle like at all. It's gonna wanna stall, and it's not a fun sight. All right, so here's the final start. As you can see, it started perfect. I'm gonna log my stuff really quick, and then we'll close this video right out. I used this app called Torque on my radio, which you can get also on your phone to monitor the car. I have it set up where I have RPM. Just give me 1 second. Sometimes it decides it's gonna turn off. You just gotta reopen it really quick, and then it won't do that again. So I have RPM, I have long-term fuel trims, short-term fuel trims, AFRs, because this car does have a wideband sensor. Well, it's kind of a wideband sensor. I have coolant temp because I don't have a gauge for it. I have intake temp. I have speed by GPS, just so I know it's accurate. And then I have my timing advanced. So as you can see, everything looks great here. 14.7 to 1 AFRs, 1.6, 1.6, fantastic fuel trims. RPMs are good. It should be idling at 800, especially because I have the AC on. Coolant temp's good, intake air temp's good, speed, obviously we're not driving, timing advance is good. So I'm going to take this for a quick drive, make sure everything's good. That's what you guys should do now. It's the final step to the idle relearn, and we will close this video out right about now. Hope you guys enjoyed today's video. I know it's a simple one, but I feel like the idle relearn is something very good to tell you guys, because it is really, really frustrating when you get your car back from a repair shop and they didn't do it properly. You know, I personally make sure I do it to every customer car that I work on that's a Subaru, even Toyotas and stuff, but Toyota's a little bit different. If you're doing an idle relearn, you'll have to look it up for that car. This pertains to Subarus and Subarus only. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Please smash the subscribe button, drop a like, drop a comment down below, and I'll catch you guys in next week's video. Have a blessed day. Peace out.